Welcome back, guys, to another episode about Japan. This time, it's an episode where I'm not in Japan anymore. I'm back from Japan, and today I have my friend with me here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Tove. I met Scott in Japan. I left about 2 months ago.
I just got back about 2 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, it's been hectic, and also nothing happened at all.
What do you mean? What do you mean nothing happened at all?
It feels like I just spent time processing what happened. And after doing that, kind of just giving myself some room to think of that actually happened, you know? I actually was in Japan. Yeah. That was very special and like nothing like I've ever experienced before, I would say.
Definitely. So for this episode, it's going to be different in the sense that now that I'm back from Japan, I can reflect on it in a way that's different from when I'm there. All the other stuff I've recorded so far has been while I was there. And there's just this sense of wonder and sense of like different atmosphere, energy completely when I'm there. So looking back on it while I'm here, even though I just literally spent the past 2 weeks doing close to nothing, which to me is very unfortunate. I hate wasting time, but it just felt like such a vast difference that I needed a break from things and I needed to just reset. And it was very, very tough the first week. Like I did not feel like myself whatsoever. I felt like I was sad at the because, you know, it like a life, like I was living such an amazing, great life in Japan. And now I'm back, but I like my life here too. Like I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to make people misunderstand. It's not like a bad life. It's just the life in Japan just felt so different and so full of energy. Like I feel like a different person, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It was like that a lot for me as well, like getting used to sort of the pace back at home. I mean, I'm from Sweden, so obviously things are just at a smaller scale to some sense. Here, like the pace is just slower because there aren't that many people in the cities. The cities that I live in doesn't have, you know, that much going on all the time as it was back in Kyoto. The energy back in Japan, like you had so much of it. You were surrounded by other people who had the same amount of energy, and everyone was so excited to, you know, be doing things all the time. And then you come back home. And it isn't like that at all. And you need to sort of reset. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time doing nothing as well. And it felt strange.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I mean, all of us are, I'm saying all of us. Let's give some context, actually. So, we met on like the first day we could possibly meet, which was the entrance exams of school. We both went to a Japanese language school, and you're basically my first language school friend with Lena. It was you and Lena. And you happened to sit right in front of me, or was it behind me or in front of me? I think behind. I think you were behind me. Yeah. You're behind me for the entrance exams, and we were in the same test room. Yeah. There's a test for talking, and they just ask you questions like what you did, what like your name, your hobbies, stuff like that.
When you arrived to Japan and stuff, if you've been before.
Yeah. I remember my answers were literally just like, I arrived in Tokyo, like I met up with a friend in Tokyo. It was something like Tokyo de kisaten ni 友達と会いました and then she's like, anything else in Japanese? And then I would continue to say like, そして新幹線に乗りました stuff like that. It's such simple like Japanese.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't even manage that. And then, so we were 3, right? So it was the 2 of us, and then it was another guy. And this guy...
He did a lot better.
Yeah, he had studied before. So, like, the pressure was on to perform already. Um,
Yeah, he was, I think he ended up in the third class. Like he wasn't beyond intermediate yet, but he
mm,
had been to the school before. I remember them being like, "Oh, you're here again," stuff like that. And my listening
mm.
skills back then sucked ass, so I did not understand the first question she asked. She had to rephrase it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could barely speak any then. Like, I had a lot of issues with thinking on the spot. My
Mm,
Japanese level, yeah, sure, I understood basic sentence structure, but I couldn't output it yet. So, yeah, it went horrible.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the hardest things I think about speaking a new language is the output, is because over time, my listening got better than my speaking, which makes
Hmm.
perfect sense.
Hmm.
I feel like your listening should always be better than your speaking, unless
Hmm.
you practice speech and practice talking a lot.
Yeah,
But overall, in general, in your life, you're more likely to listen more than you talk. So
yeah,
it makes sense that your listening is better. So for output though, you just have to do it like so much. And I think for me, my output improved because I got to speak with a lot of native speakers.
hmm,
I noticed a lot of people in my class, their speaking ability wasn't as good because
mm.
even though, for instance, there was this girl that was N2, she passed the JLPT N2. She was still in my class. I was like, what the heck? We're on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second level class, which is like to study N5, N4. There's this person who passed N2. Why is she even here, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, the JLPT exams, this is coming from someone who hasn't taken them, but from what I've heard, it's just a matter of like studying the formats because it is often like multiple choice. So you
Yes.
can, if you just know, the study format and the exam format, I think you're
Yeah,
good,
it's
kind
it's
of.
possible.
Yeah.
But she was Taiwanese, so she knew the characters already.
Mm,
And she knew most of the grammar already as well. It's just her speaking ability was not as good. I'd say my speaking ability now is better than hers in the beginning.
mm,
I can't say much for I didn't like keep up with her, so I don't know how much she improved.
mm.
But yeah, it's so interesting how the classes work. It's like some people who are at more advanced levels can still end up in a lower level.
Yeah.
If you have one weakness of like, oh, your speech isn't good or your kanji isn't good, your grammar isn't good or something,
Mm,
you will end
yeah.
up in a lower class. That's something I learned.
Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, sure. Like looking back at it now, I can definitely understand why I got put in the first class.
Hmm.
But at the time, being put in the first class felt like a huge blow because like I'd spent all this money to go to Japan and study Japanese, and then I'm being put into, the baby class where you need to get taught how to write hiragana and katakana and like very,
Yeah.
basic sentence structure. But it felt okay knowing that people who were, actually better than me at Japanese also got placed in the same class as me.
Yeah.
So you didn't take it, too hard on your ego, just the frustration that you felt like you were sort of wasting your time when you could have been in the second class and learning completely new stuff. But it was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I was so glad to like have been put in the second class because I would have definitely felt that really hard if I got put
Mm,
in the first class. But I felt like the second class for me was actually it wasn't hard. It felt fun at the right level.
mm,
Like I had exposure to most of the things. I'd say like maybe 60% of it I had exposure to, but I didn't know it. Like I didn't know it
right,
that I could use it, you
right.
know?
Yeah,
But towards the end I could use all of it pretty like now I can use all of it pretty
yeah.
easily.
And it's always just pretty helpful to have like an actual teacher telling you these things and not just studying off of your phone or from a book, or
Yeah.
so you can get like direct feedback more or less.
Yeah, I think the conversation practices with the classmates was my favorite. Although sometimes there were like some students when I would say, "Oh yeah, this is how you say it," or this is right. They wouldn't believe me, which is totally fair because I'm just
Mm.
another student, right? You should ask the teacher. Because I know for you, I remember you mentioning like a lot of people would ask you questions and stuff because some people were brand new, like our friend
Oh yeah, yeah,
Lena, for instance. So for them, I'd imagine it was pretty difficult.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was sometimes, especially because I mean, we got the glossaries we got around 100 to 150 new words, like vocabulary to learn
Right.
every week. So
Yeah, that's
top
something.
that with new grammar, and you need to have, you know, the hiragana, katakana, kanji down. That's a lot. Like, that's intense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a lot if you're completely brand new to it. That would have definitely been a very new experience. Actually, for me, most of the vocab, and I knew zero kanji. So other than the numbers, I knew zero kanji. So I pretty much started from zero for kanji. I don't even know how the heck I managed to get to level 2 in the test. I think I
Guesstimated.
yeah, I guessed a lot. I looked
Yeah.
at parts of the test that had the kanji and like
Oh yeah, me too.
went back to fill in some
Yeah,
stuff.
me too.
Oh, Duolingo, there you go. Duolingo gave me some exposure to some other kanji as well.
Yeah.
But Duolingo is not very useful for like memorizing kanji because you don't ever have to write it. You just have to recognize it. So writing it in the entrance exam was so difficult, but I guess I managed to do enough to get to level 2. So, but the thing is,
Yeah.
when I was in level 2, I was looking at the past kanji because we started in the middle of like the N5 book. I was like, shoot, I know like barely any of the previous kanji, so I had to go back and study it on my own. So yeah, I must have lucked out there in terms of like getting everything else good enough and the kanji okay to get into level 2. But I think if you have exposure once at least to stuff, it becomes a lot easier.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used this app for, it wasn't Duolingo. It's an app called Renshu, and I used that for, I'd say, around 3 months, just studying, you know, the basic grammar patterns,
Yeah.
a lot of vocab, and also, you know, the alphabets a lot, and just that put me at like a huge advantage, I would say, to other of my classmates.
Yeah, I would recommend to anyone who's interested in Japanese language school to, at the very least, go through both Genki 1 and 2 on your own. Even if you don't retain most of it,
Yeah.
once you go to the entrance exam, go to class, like having that exposure to it already will put you above most people because like your brain, the way it works is just like, because you've seen it before, even just
Yeah.
once, like
Yeah.
you'll have an easier time learning it or letting it sink in again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what
Yeah.
I'm going to do is go through Genki 1 and 2 again. I actually went over Genki 1 already, so Genki 2. And then after I do that, I'll go over Mina no Nihongo 2. We actually didn't finish it in level 2, the class level 2. Class level 3 is when we finish
The first
Mina
one.
no Nihongo number 2. We finished the first one in level 2, so I also went over it again on my own. So I have both of the level 1s done. I just need to finish the level 2s. And I think from there, I will not really use textbooks anymore. I would just
Yeah.
like completely just conversations with friends that I've made in Japan.
Yeah, you made a lot of Japanese friends. You were on a mission to find as many Japanese speaking friends as humanly possible.
I wouldn't say I was on a mission, but
I would say you were on a mission.
yeah, to be fair, I was definitely seeking them out because of course, if you're going to try to learn the language, number one is like talk to native speakers. That is like the best practice you can get because they will tell you how real people talk in a natural way. And it's so different from the stuff you learn in textbooks. It's so different. If you're basing all of your Japanese speaking on the textbook stuff that you learn, you're not talking natural Japanese, even if you get into the higher level stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of applicable for any and all languages when it comes to to that, but I would say especially Japanese.
Yeah, that's why whenever I got exposed to like native speakers, you know, can I get your line or can I never did it in the first meeting though. I only ever did it if I met the person twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
And we had like good conversations each time.
Yeah, of course. It wasn't like you were just running up to strangers on the street.
Yeah,
like,
hey, no.
Please speak with me.
No, I did talk to strangers at the piano. That was the only time I ever talked to strangers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The Kyoto Station piano when we played, and whenever people were just like, oh, you know, they started talking to me because I just played something and I got off the piano. So it was them engaging with me most of the time. And I did connect with someone and get their line after that. So it's definitely a thing where you just got to be proactive about meeting people.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and just talk about the things you're interested in. And for me, most of the time, the people I connected with, they could speak English as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as if I talk to people who I could actually have good conversations with because they could speak English.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Japanese conversations would have been like terribly boring for them.
Terribly boring, terribly dry. And But I mean, I definitely felt like I improved my Japanese while I was there. Maybe not as much as I would have hoped. But
me too, actually. Oh my God.
Oh.
Me too.
Oh, no.
I feel like I did not go all out. I did not like study as hard as I did because for class, I studied maybe a total of like less than 5 hours outside of the classroom.
Yeah, you did your homework in the school lounge. And you did it by just reading and sort of speaking the answers instead of writing them down.
Exactly. Good memory.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the piece of paper, looking at the answers. I'm like, I had it right in my head.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Meanwhile, the others were like all through the night, just extensively writing the words over and over again to memorize. Okay, maybe not. I didn't really do that. I mean, I think I would say I put around 1 or 2 hours every day into studying, like apart from class.
That's what I should have done.
Yeah, but it was a lot of revision. It was a lot of revision, especially when we had tests, and we did have tests quite often.
Yeah, we did.
So it was mostly just going through what we had done, and you also got really far just doing like the what do you call it, like the tasks in the textbook in Minna no Nihongo textbooks. Why do they have like the most difficult titles? It's so difficult to say it fast.
Yeah, it is difficult to say it fast. I always struggle to say it naturally.
I want to say Minna ni Nihongo, but it's not Minna no Nihongo.
Yeah, Minna no Nihongo. And then I think the 2 times I skipped class, there was this one boring sensei that I didn't really enjoy that much. But I skipped class one day because I was like, I'm going to hang out with my friend, my Japanese friend. And I was telling her, because she's actually a Japanese language teacher. So she teaches Japanese, not to English people, unfortunately, but she taught me a lot of things. I think hanging out with her is how I learned a lot of my like Japanese in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because she was my only Japanese friend at the time. And I told her like, okay, me skipping class is actually me learning more because I'm talking to you in Japanese and you're teaching me while I'm hanging out with you. And it feels like I'm learning so much more that way. So I think if you already have like a Japanese friend who's free or like who's generally willing to hang out with you a lot and have conversations with you a lot, you will learn way more from that than from Japanese language school, in my opinion. If your goal is to talk, which was my goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm still happy that I went.
Yeah, me too.
It's something that I kind of discovered is that going to school, going to classes, it sucks. Like it's not fun. It's not fun at all. It's even out of your own volition. You're like, ugh, I need to do this thing. Ugh, homework. Ugh, it's like you literally paid money to do this.
Yeah.
You did for yourself out of pocket.
That's so
to
funny.
do this. It's I don't know what it is, but it is something, you know, ingrained in your brain to just simply hate school in any shape or form.
I mean, it depends on your experience with it, but I fully agree with you. That's why I didn't do homework. I was like, wait, hold on. You know, I'm like in my late 20s now, and I'm like back in school, and I'm like,
you shouldn't be doing this.
Wait, hold on. Like, I go to class, and I'm like, wait, we had homework?
Yeah.
That was literally the second or third day. I'm like, wait, we had homework? and then from then on, we got like physical copies of the homework, but I still just never wrote on it, like you said.
No, yeah.
And I just couldn't bring myself to do it because naturally, habitually, I'm out of that phase, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why I feel like for me, most of my learning with talking to native speakers, it's like the best practice you can get. So in a way, I was studying, you know?
Yeah.
But I was having fun while doing it. And I was like making new connections and friends while doing it as well. So I'd say that's probably one of the best ways to do it, but at the same time it still feels weird because I'm not doing the thing that I was told to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it is, you don't really get anything out of it in the sense that you don't get like results back from a test, say like, here's how you did. You don't, the only feedback that you get
Exactly.
is like if your Japanese friends would correct you if you said something wrong, or like, oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can say this instead, or blah, blah, blah. But so it doesn't feel productive in the same sense as going to class. But the question is class really productive if you're just sitting there barely paying attention and not doing the homework? So I think it's
Hey, wait,
very
hold on,
like
hold on. I was paying attention.
yeah, you were. You weren't like other people who were, sleeping or taking
Oh yeah.
naps.
Oh my gosh. Remember
Yeah.
that time we were like just sending, or I was sending you photos of this guy who was
Yeah.
just full on dead in class.
Yeah.
It was
He
hilarious.
was like sleeping, so with his head like tucked to his
Yeah.
chest. So it
Wh-
didn't look like he had a head like from
Yeah,
the back.
it was
So funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And the teachers
It
would
was
always pick on him too. It was funny.
I mean, fair enough.
Totally fair.
Yeah. It was also like you could notice the entire class feeling a bit more spirited if it was like a fun teacher as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So that definitely impacts your education a lot, like to get you
Yeah.
more sort of involved and engaged
Super
in the
important.
content.
Yeah, so how it worked is like it rotated teachers. So we would have what, four, I think?
We
Four
had four. Yeah,
teachers?
four teachers.
Yeah, and then they're the same on each day, each week. But it's like four different ones, so it's like hard to like really form a connection until the very end.
Mm.
So
And by then you're gone.
yeah, by then you're gone. I mean, like
Yeah.
even if you were going to go on to the next level, like you might not have the same teachers anymore. So it's like, yeah. And it's unfortunate. Like there's this one really good teacher that stopped teaching our class for whatever reason. I think she said like she had to just focus on teaching level 1 or something.
Mm.
And she was so animated and cool and fun. And like I would get to talk to her and stuff like that too. Yeah, it's the teachers that you talk to, I think, that are the most fun.
Yeah, it's the teachers that are, actually engaging with the class and like talking with the class and not sort of reading from a script like this is what we're supposed to go through now, or
Yeah.
just reading from the PowerPoint that they have on their little TV and like going through each slide. And then they say something and you have to repeat and then, back and forth. It's more fun when you have the teachers that are a little bit more,
Yeah.
animated and interactive, I guess.
But I think
Obviously, I guess.
obviously.
Yeah.
And you can't control that, which is very
No.
unfortunate, you know? But
Yeah.
I still think me and you, or just to give the rec, Arc Academy, there are some good teachers and there are a few not as good, but
Mhm.
most of them were good. So
Yeah.
at least for
Yeah.
what I got.
Yeah, definitely. I would, in the beginning, as I said, I was a bit upset of being placed in the first level, but I got over it fairly quickly and I just decided, okay, but then let me just go for, top of class. I'll be the best one instead. If I'm supposedly this good,
Yeah,
I might as well
yeah.
be best. So I was a bit bitter at the teachers, but obviously the teacher didn't really have anything to do with that. So once you kind of opened up to just having fun, it got a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we had a lot of fun in general because like after we met everyone at the entrance exam, which is crazy. I feel like our first group was established already.
Yeah.
In the very beginning.
Yeah, first try.
Yeah, first try.
Yeah.
I mean, some people
Yeah.
would hang out less with us, some people more, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we all hung out really fast early on, and
Yeah,
got
it was
along
was
really
that
well.
that wasn't it the same weekend we went to Osaka? I mean, we just
Yeah,
met
yeah,
each
yeah.
other like 3 days prior or something, and we were like, hey, let's go to Osaka.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it was
yeah.
fun. It was
And
so much fun.
even me, you, and Lena, right after the entrance exams, we
Yeah.
just hung out for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And just talked, and yeah, like we became friends pretty quickly, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was also something to get used to while being back, is you're so much more dependent on your friends. And yeah, your social circle when you're in a different country like that. Because you're out there on your own, like you have no one more or less, unless maybe you had some friends from before. So I noticed a change with myself that I was much more open to like social interactions, I was quite surprised by that actually, because
Oh, really?
I'm quite an introvert, or I do appreciate my alone time, let's just say. But I felt like being alone while I was in Japan was actually not that fun. I mean, it was nice to get a rest, sure, every now and then, but
Hmm.
I didn't need as much of a recovery period as I do here.
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's just the energy, right?
Yeah,
In Japan, I can literally go out every day. I
yeah,
pretty much went out every day, except for maybe like 3 days out of the whole like 4.5 months I was there.
mm,
And I was fine. I felt fine. I
yeah,
felt like I did not need any extra energy. But for whatever reason in California, whenever I go out, I just hung out with my friends all day or all night. And I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Like I don't want
yeah,
to do anything tomorrow.
yeah. I
Uh,
need a break.
yeah, it's so crazy how I can go nonstop for
Yeah,
like months at a time in Japan with
yeah,
friends, different friends, meeting
hmm,
new people like literally every week.
yeah.
And
Like having completely new experiences
exactly, and go
all
and
the
seeing
time.
all the time, seeing new
Yeah,
places, beautiful places. That was great. Like we went on
yeah,
so many trips together,
yeah.
and
Which one was your favorite? Now
oh,
that
that's
you've,
that's so tough. But I still love Miyajima. I still
mm,
think Miyajima, and I'm so grateful to you that we went there.
yeah,
I don't think we would have gone there if it weren't for you, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. No, I mean, I'd been there once before when the Torii Gate was being refurbished, basically. So I
Yeah,
was like, I knew that okay, if we're taking a trip to Hiroshima, I want to go to Miyajima as well. I want to see
yeah,
the Torii unveiled. So
unveiled.
I was a very strong proponent of going, and I knew
Yeah,
that everyone would love it as well.
yeah.
Like it's a
But
beautiful place.
everyone was like against you at a certain point. They're doubting you basically because you were like, oh yeah, we're gonna spend the whole day at Miyajima, and
Yeah.
then
They were like, nah,
some
we'll have time to go back. It's fine.
yeah
It's just
yeah
an island, right?
yeah, people were like blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, but I was leaning towards your side, you know.
Mm,
I think you're cool in the fact that like when you have something that you want to do, that's you're set on it. You're like, I'm gonna do this. You know, if you guys want to join, you guys join. If not, that's fine. You know,
yeah.
like that's cool. Like not a lot of
Mm,
people do that. A lot of people just go with the flow, go with the group. You know, even if they want something, they don't necessarily voice it. For me, I'm someone who voices it if I want something, but
mm,
I'm okay if everyone else wants something else. I'm fine with sticking with the group because that tends to be easier in general.
mm.
But you're someone who just like you go for what you want,
Yeah.
uh, and I like that about you. I think
Yeah.
that's like super cool.
Oh, thank you. I think
Yeah,
I'm usually a bit more like you. I usually just allow other people to decide. I'm like, hey, I would like to do this, but you know, if that's not what y'all want, I'm fine with that. I'll just go with the group. But when I came to Japan, I was like, no, I'm here for me. I'm not I'm not here to make friends, you know? But I guess it got increasingly more difficult to stick to those kinds of decisions because you notice that shit, you know, I'm getting pretty close with these people. I don't want to, you know, experience thing on my own anymore. I want to experience these things with you guys.
yeah, yeah.
And it was rough in the end to be like, no, I'm going to this place with or without you.
No, but I think most of the time, whenever you said that, like I generally, when I was there, I would
Yeah.
generally go with you because what you wanted to do sounded good to me, and I think it's
Yeah.
funny. Oftentimes, like I don't know, I imagine Lisa being there with us, like,
Yeah.
and Lisa being the one that's against you. I don't know why. It's not.
I
It's not
think
always the case. It's not always the
no,
case.
I think
Um,
it might have been because Lisa's more of a like a sure plan things out, but more of a go with the flow person. Whereas
right,
I'm like,
right.
no, we need to plan everything like hour for hour. Go with the flow. Can you know get out? We have time to spend, and let's spend it wisely. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also, you're there for 3 months.
yeah.
I mean, originally I was also going to be there for 3 months, but I extended my stay because I just loved it so much. I know a part of you wanted to do the same, but difficult logistically. But for my mindset, the first 2 months before I decided to extend it, I was like, I got to do everything I can, right?
Yeah.
And then after I extended it, I was still doing everything I could because at that point it was like another only 3 months, you know? And for the others, some of them are staying, most of them are staying like 6 months or a year or something like that. So they're pacing themselves more.
Yeah.
It's a completely different experience when you have that mindset because like you want to go out, you want to do everything you can.
Yeah. I think how should I put this? Pacing yourself is a good thing if you're staying there longer because you're living there in another sense.
Yeah.
We were on a tourist visa still, and being there for 3 months, even if I do feel like I lived there, you know, I had an apartment and everything, you're still a tourist. You're still just there temporarily.
Yeah. You're like a hybrid, you know? It's like you're experiencing what it's like to live there, but at the same time, you're in the mental mode of like, yeah, I'm living here, but I'm gonna do everything I can. Yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can while I'm living here.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the experience you would get if you were to really live there long term, but I actually think it's like a better one because in a way you're doing all you can. You're not letting the magic die. Because I met some foreigners that have been living there for like 2 years, 7 years, like long ass time. And for them, it's like, oh yeah, you know, they're done with their traveling phase. They don't really feel like they want to do it much anymore. They're just doing their job and going back home and chilling, sometimes hanging out with friends. And that's cool. That's still cool. You're still in a great place to do that, you know? Maybe not the work part, but with the hanging out part.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of stories about work there. It's like not just like secondhand stories, but personal like stories from people. And it can be tough.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was a good sort of compromise.
Yeah.
To stay there for 3 months, even though it was painful to leave and you felt like you had a lot of things you still wanted to explore, but you know, there's always another time you can just go again.
I really do think that we did it right, or at least for language school, like cutting it off at the 3 month point was perfect. Yeah, because everyone I talked to, literally everyone, was like, I don't want to do school anymore. Like they're just done with it. They don't want to be there anymore because it's either like they're tired of it, because most people that go into language school, you're not used to school anymore. You're done with it, right? So they're either tired of it, they want to do their own thing, or we stopped at the right time. Yeah, because we got the experience of it. We made our friends. Yeah, and like we're good. You know, we don't need it anymore.
And I mean, I was the kind of the first one to leave, I guess.
Yeah.
So while it was nice to be the first one to leave, kind of, because you didn't have to go through a different kind of pain saying goodbye to everyone, like people just dropping off one after one. It was also, you know, the FOMO in the beginning was real, like seeing you guys on Instagram doing stuff and going to Korea.
Oh man,
all those things. I mean, yeah, that sucked. Like being home, and also in that, as we mentioned before, in that period where you're just sitting at home doing nothing because you just don't want to do anything. The pace is completely different. It felt very strange. You would get these sort of flashbacks of your former self or your Kyoto self. It was very self. Very peculiar feeling.
It is. I mean, I don't feel any FOMO at the moment because I think 4 months, 4 to 5 months is kind of the perfect amount for me. Because, okay, you go through 3 months of language school, then you have like a month and a half or so of total freedom to do whatever you want with your time in Japan. And I know you didn't get to experience much of this, maybe before school and a little bit after. But with total freedom comes a lot of chaos and like just, what do I do with my time?
Yep.
At first, I would study a lot. I would try to find different people to study with, but some people are inconsistent, so it's hard because you can't study with the same person because they're inconsistent. You know, stuff happens where you get closer to certain friends than other friends. You meet new people, you hang out with them more. There's just a lot of things, and also for me, I ended up getting close to someone and eventually getting a girlfriend, so I would hang out with her a lot more too. And ironically, we spoke mostly in English and not Japanese. So I didn't get as much practice as I would have liked, but I wasn't with her to practice. So whatever language we spoke is whatever language we spoke. And I had a really, really great time with her overall. But I do feel like for me, oddly, I really like the experience of meeting new people and that initial phase of like getting closer to someone. So part of me was kind of like, after you meet everyone, it's sort of like you're just growing with the people you meet. And it's not like less fun or anything like that, but it's just like...
It's different.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the honeymoon phase is over.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to Japan for such a long time, like saying like plus 1 month, I would definitely recommend having something to do, like something that provides structure, whether that being like a language school or a part-time work or working on something. Like, I don't know, if you have a job that allows you to work from anywhere, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
Just to have something to sort of, structure your mind, if nothing else, but also like your plans, something to work around, because like just having complete freedom like that, it does sound good, but it just overwhelms you with possibilities.
Yeah, I think what happened with me is I ended up filling the time with just hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Entirely just hanging out with people all the time. And that eventually got me really exhausted and tired towards the end. Like, I was super tired, like the last, I think 2 weeks, I'd say, before leaving Japan. I was just like, I'm not going to plan anything. It's just up to people if they want to plan stuff with me at that point. And I was still doing a lot of things, still going out a lot and still seeing new places despite that. So that's like to the point where I'm like, okay, I just don't want to make any decisions anymore. So whenever someone asks me something like, oh, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? Where do you want to eat? I was just like, I have nothing in my mind anymore, because I've eaten at so many good places. I've seen so many nice places.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm kind of done, like deciding. I don't have this desire to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I burnt myself out on seeing nice things and eating nice things and living a good life. It's hilarious in a way.
Yeah, no, it sounds almost like a bit cynical. Almost, but it is true. I mean, it is decision fatigue, but the extreme version. Because when you're coming to a new country, especially one where you don't speak the language, like as we mentioned before, everything is new. You don't know more or less half of the things that on a day-to-day basis, you know exactly what it is. Like going to the supermarket, you don't know what kinds of groceries to pick out because you don't know what's good. So you just need to try, try things little by little. Google Translate is obviously your friend, but you still need to find like, okay, what brand is good? What brand of bread or milk, stuff like that. You don't really think about those kinds of decisions, but they do pile up. So when someone asks you like, what restaurant would you like to go to? And you don't know what's good anymore because you've checked out of all the lists that you've been recommended. Oof, that's the worst.
I mean, I feel like it's such a privileged problem to have.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like for sure, yes. Like I'm not complaining about it. I actually really love the fact that it happened. This is more so just saying like, for me, the time frame of things and when certain things happened. At that point, about 4 months in is when I started feeling that way. And that's why I think like heading back home is a good thing, because I'm resetting myself and I'm like, okay, I'm remembering how amazing it was there and how I should be so grateful that all of those things happened and that I got to experience what I experienced, to the point where I was tired of experiencing such good things.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm here to reset. It does feel different here, and it does feel like less of something, less of a part of me that I like, here. There's just something missing, not as good here, but it's still good here,
Yeah, I mean, it is. We have this saying in Swedish. If you're to translate it into English, it would be like, "Gone is good, but home is best." And I feel like that applies in a lot of scenarios, especially for me here. I want to ask you though, I was talking to Lena about this. She
Hmm.
felt, and I also felt like the first week after we got home, it felt a bit like Kyoto was just, or Japan was just a dream. Like it
Hmm.
didn't actually happen. Do you also feel like that?
I, I can see the feeling. I can understand it, but I don't quite think it was like a dream in the sense that it didn't happen because I'm still interacting with people I met there, like you and Lena and my girlfriend. It's on a regular basis. I'm interacting with those people. So it's like because of those people, I don't feel like it was a dream, you know?
Mm.
I am basically changed because of it. Having that experience is allowing me to see life in a different way, as well as like is to understand like there's that possibility of living a life that's that great, you know? And but then the first week for sure I felt like sad. Like I
Yeah.
felt sad because I think my it wasn't even just my body, it wasn't just my mind, it was like my body too. It felt like sad that I wasn't able to just go out and walk around at nice naturey areas easily and feel that feeling, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And eat the food, and like my body felt almost as like maybe worse than my mind. I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
to
mean
describe
that's
it.
jet lag, Scott.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Part of it was jet lag, but like it felt
No,
I've
I get
traveled a
what you
lot.
mean.
I've traveled
Yeah,
a lot and I usually never experience jet lag. If
yeah,
I do experience jet lag, it's only for a day.
yeah.
So,
I have pretty intense jet lag actually, but I also felt that feeling of like just feeling. I think it felt almost like an out of body experience being home for the first week. You just for me, I think it was so back to normal life that really added to
mm,
Japan just feeling like a dream. Like it
I
felt
see.
so incredibly far away. Yeah, it's pretty wild to think that I was there for 3 whole months
Yeah,
and that I haven't even been home the amount of time that I was gone yet. Like if
right.
you put it in perspective like that, you realize how long you were gone and like how much that impacted you as a person.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me it was a huge impact, and it's yeah that first week. I mean, I'm still experiencing
Yeah.
some of the feelings, but I don't know what happened. It's so strange. It's like the first week I felt so unable to do anything properly, you know? And I know part of it was jet lag for sure, because my
Mm.
sleep schedule was definitely messed up
Hmm.
for a whole week, which
Yeah.
it's like, what the heck?
Hmm.
I don't know how that happened. When normally, like I've traveled to like 9, 10 different countries, and every time I traveled, jet lag did not affect me.
But
So
how long were you there for at that time? Because you were in that time zone for a good old while, you know.
true. The other times it was like 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe being there for longer affected it, but
Yeah.
it was also the feeling, the
Yeah.
contrast, and just trying to process everything that happened subconsciously. It's
Yeah.
after a week, I don't know what happened, but maybe it was just me seeing friends and family again. Like oddly, the first time I saw friends, I was kind of sad. I was like, this doesn't feel like
Yes, me too. I felt horrible, but yes, me too.
really.
Yeah, me too.
Please tell me about it. I want to know.
No, so the first time I interacted or was going to meet with my friends, it was I don't know, I was so excited to meet them, but it didn't feel like they were in such a rush to meet me, kind of.
Hmm.
And I think it kind of bummed me out because I was so used to a completely different kind of energy. Like if you wanted to
Yeah,
meet
yeah,
with someone while you were in Japan, everyone was always so down to do something. Like you'd
yeah.
ask Lena something like, "Hey, do you want to go?" and she would cut you off and say, "Yes, yes, I want to go."
It doesn't matter what.
Exactly. She's like, "Yeah, I'm down." You're like, "Okay, good." So not having that energy was wild to me, and it just realized that wow, it changed me more than I thought it would,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
especially in relation to like how I see my friends and socializing, and yeah, it was strange. It kind of saddened me just to see like, oh, maybe I've had this huge experience now and it's changed me forever and I don't feel the same about my friends like I used to. Like
a part of me.
existential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I felt that too. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
I really hope that this isn't permanent.
Yeah.
I felt so sad. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel
Yeah.
like the same energy. I
Yeah.
don't feel as stimulated. I feel
Yeah.
like this conversation just isn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, I
wait.
was exactly the same. I can tell you it gets better, but I think it's more because you get used to it and not because it actually gets better, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's already gotten better because I've hung out with friends multiple times now. It was just the first one. I was just like, where's the stimulation? Where's the energy? Where's the like translation from English to Japanese?
Yeah.
It's like, where's that extra step in this conversation?
Yeah, exactly.
That's totally missing.
What?
But-
This is too easy. I already know
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah, I already know what they're gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to have this conversation. I already know what you think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot like that for me too.
I was still grateful to see my friends. I was very happy to see some of them that I haven't seen in forever, right? So, and then afterwards, the next hangout with family, I was glad to see my family. I just felt good and happy.
Yeah.
So, and then I had my birthday event where it was smaller this time around. I didn't have time to plan it. Maybe I did have time. I just felt so drained that I just didn't have the will or energy to. Less people came, but still a good amount, like about 20 something. And I just was super happy to see my friends all in one place. Some friends I haven't seen in a very long time. I mean, all of my friends I haven't seen
Yeah.
at least for like 5 months.
Yeah.
So it was just good to see them. I didn't catch them up as much as I wanted to. I think I was still, I don't know why I was so hesitant to catch everyone up. I was just like still processing, you know? I was like,
Yeah.
I still need time to think about everything. Like, how do I tell this grand story? You know, I don't want to exaggerate it, but at the same time, it was so amazing. It was so incredible and everything like that. But I don't want to make it seem like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I just tell how I feel it, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, for me, when someone asks like, "So, how was Japan?" I'm like, "It was good."
Right?
Because I feel like I don't know. I think I'm hesitant in sharing because it was so much. I mean, I lived a whole life there.
Yeah.
It would be like, okay, so what have you tell me every movie you've ever watched the last 10 years. You wouldn't go on and like rank an entire list of movies. You'd be like, oh, I've seen a lot of these kinds of movies.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're doing that kind of like, oh, I went to a lot of places. I met a couple friends. It was nice.
Yeah. Tomorrow, my friends want me to do this whole PowerPoint thing.
Yeah.
Like three of my closest friends. So I'm gonna do it for them. I just like favorited a lot of the best photos, highlighting where I went, the people I met, things I did. And I'm like, shoot, this is gonna take forever.
Yeah.
Like each photo contains so much story in it. And I'm just like, how am I actually gonna do this in a quick way? I don't think I can. Like I would need at least like 4 hours to like.
It could be a series.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do my best to summarize it.
Yeah.
For them, because I do want to fill them in because they are some of my closest friends. I just couldn't do it at the birthday. I just felt like there was like too many people at once, Like I don't mind telling people the story. I don't want to like present to 20 people at once.
Yeah. It's also for me, I just hate repeating myself, so I haven't told anyone.
Yeah. I mean,
because I don't want to tell the story more than
I know
once.
this.
But I would prefer 20 people at once.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was like, she would do this.
Yeah. I would do a PowerPoint presentation.
I still remember that one time in Himeji Castle area at Himeji Station where we went into that 7-Eleven. You forgot to do something in that 7-Eleven. And then Natsumi was like, oh, why don't you just go back to that 7-Eleven? I was like, do you even know Tube?
Like, no.
She's not going to go back to the same 7-Eleven. She's not going to repeat herself.
No, I can go to another 7-Eleven, however.
Exactly. That's what we did. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
It's like you just hang out with the same people enough to where you just know their behavior and what they're going to say and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is. Yeah, that was a fun trip as well.
That was fun. I enjoyed the Himeji one and also the Kurama one that we went to.
Yeah,
The
Kurama
Kurama
was
was
probably,
nice.
it was really
Yeah.
nice. I was gonna say it's probably one of my favorite ones actually.
Yeah. Beautiful temple.
Yeah,
And you got to hike it. You got to just do the whole thing. We were
yeah,
debating of doing the cable car. No,
yeah.
definitely
No,
don't.
no, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just walk up. It's
Yeah.
not that. It's
It's
not
not
that
that
bad.
bad.
It's
Yeah.
not
After
Mount Misa.
it's not Mount Meeson. I still am like amazed that we hiked Mount Meeson from bottom to
Yeah,
top to bottom.
yeah, in jeans.
I don't know how we did it.
No, me neither.
Freaking Tycho, man.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's one of those things that I don't think I told my friend that I went to Miyajima before that we climbed Mount Mise. She's coming in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
tell her then, and I'll like sneak a photo to see her reaction
Yeah.
when we say that.
Yeah, we had
We
a
climbed it.
just a quick story that Mount Meeson hike was completely spontaneous. We didn't plan for it. I
At
didn't
all.
have any water with me, and
No one had, or well, a couple, but like one
we didn't
sip.
know. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
know how high it was. One of our friends was like, "Yeah, I just want to climb something."
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like this fit young person,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up doing it. He was always like, "Oh yeah, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there." But like we
Biggest
were
lie.
never never almost there
there.
until we were at the top. And
Yeah.
luckily they had water at the top. Otherwise, I honestly think I would have like died from dehydration.
Yeah.
Maybe not died, but like suffered some sort of like, I don't know, faint or something.
Yeah. I mean, we probably would have, experienced some extreme discomfort. It was already like those steps that I think that was the issue for me.
The
like,
stairs.
It was stairs. If it
Yeah.
had just been like an incline, that's fine. But the freaking stairs, like having to lift your legs, ugh, that was
Yeah.
horrible. It's,
Yeah, that's why every other hike after that was like nothing.
easy
It was just
breezy.
nothing.
Yeah, but it was very, very worth it, I would say. Again, temple at the top, beautiful. All those little Buddha statues with the sunglasses and stuff, very cute. And then the observation deck at the very top was also really nice. So if you're in Miyajima and you have the time for it, definitely hike Mount Misen. Yeah.
But I think oddly I liked Kurama better in terms of just the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But Miyajima next to the Tori, that area and the temple next to the Tori, that was amazing. I love that spot so much.
Yeah. I think the
I would-
Kurama, we got really, well, depending on how you see it, lucky with the weather. I mean, it was kind of misty and rainy, so it really set the mood for like a forest temple.
Oh yeah, Kurama,
And like the whole mystical Ghibli movie thing. It was really, really beautiful.
yeah. That atmosphere, I don't know why, it was so distinct. Like I can feel it now when I think about it, you know? And it feels so different.
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about Japan. It's like all the different places feel so different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate even the areas that we went that I've been to before that I went to again and just got to take my time there, you know? Like with Mimi, for instance, when we went to Arashiyama, everyone goes to the bamboo forest, but nobody goes to like the park or the pond or the pond or lake area near it. And I love that area so much. It was empty. No one was there. And I don't know. I loved it. I'm walking around the areas, the neighborhood. Nobody was around. The aesthetic of it, Arashiyama, I definitely underestimated that area.
Yeah, that area was really nice. I'm glad I went. I was considering just
Oh
skipping
yeah,
it
we went again
overall.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, I was considering skipping until you said that you were going. I was like, yeah, sure. You know what? I'll bite.
Yeah.
But it was pretty
Still-
far down on my list.
Yeah, still one of my favorite skier places.
Yeah, that skewer was really good.
Yeah.
I do agree. But yeah, it was a lot, but I've been seeing now also since I left that Japan had like a record in tourists in March.
Yeah.
Since like ever, I think. I think they had, was it 3 million tourists?
It's
Do not
crazy.
cite me on this, but it was like an insane amount. And all these bans that was put in place. So I think timing wise, I left at a good time to like escape some of the, you know, more densely tourist populated areas. But you could still feel the increase.
It was interesting because I feel like I didn't notice it that much unless I went to tourist locations.
Yeah.
Tourist locations were insane,
Yeah.
but insanely packed. Like
Yeah.
the most packed I've ever seen it in my whole life.
Mm.
And whenever you're not at the tourist locations, it's fine.
Empty.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would often hang out at places that are just not touristy and still beautiful and still like
Yeah.
great to be around.
I think it's like if you're not in a hurry to see these tourist spaces, you can definitely just like skip them. Arashiyama, although the area is beautiful, if you don't really have a specific temple, I wouldn't say that the monkey park and the bamboo grove is like worth it because you can get that elsewhere. However, Fushimi Inari, so worth it. So worth it because that is out of this world. I mean, yes, you have other mountains with like the same setup with torii gates, but the amount of torii gates there are just insane.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful at the top.
You got to go to the top. You got to go to the
Yeah.
top. I think a lot of people did not. A lot of people just in general don't because it's a hike, I guess. It's not really that bad.
It's barely a hike.
Yeah.
It's barely a hike. And that's not just because we hiked Mount Misen. That's because it's barely a hike. I think it's like 20 minutes up, 20 minutes down.
Yeah, it's worth it. I went with one of my share house friends, but I think there are so many places to visit that have less people. Like Uji was a great one.
Yes, Uji was great.
Kobe, in my opinion, is a really, really aesthetic and nice place. Just 3 locations. One is like a mall. The Chinatown at night is amazing. Harborland is also really cool. I also went to the aquarium there. That was also really nice. But yeah, Kobe, I really like that city. And there's less people there in general.
Yeah, Kobe was nice. We wanted to. They have like a ropeway, but it was closed when we were there. That was like the one thing. Like we want to go on the ropeway, and then it was closed. Like, oh, damn it. So we mostly just walked around.
I'm curious, now that you're back, like, are there any changes in you that you feel like Japan has caused? Like, not just like, oh, I lived that life, I experienced something amazing and great, right? Because I do think that for me, the past 2 weeks, it's been partly processing as well as partly like wanting to, I don't know, there's this weird thing where it's like, I don't want to face like everything that I did there out of some sort of, I don't know, there's just some resistance. I don't know where it's coming from. I haven't quite fully processed it yet. But part of it is like fear in a way. It's like me thinking about myself now versus me then. Like there's this huge difference of like feeling like I felt so great there. I felt like I was doing something different. But at the same time, I've like 5 months have passed where I haven't done the things that I really like doing here, like piano, for instance, and just like moving forward with certain projects that I could only do here because I have the focus and resources and whatnot. Like there are certain things that I feel like I need to process fully and process it in a way where I take good things away from that experience and use it, you know? It's like I have to be proactive about it. I have to be mindful of it. I can't just go on with my life and be like, oh yeah, I did that. You know, I have to really sit down and think, let it just
marinate.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the case for you, but it seems to be the case for me.
Yeah, I can get you to some extent. I think for me, like who I was in Japan was also very dependent on me being alone for the first time. I've been with my partner for the past 9 years now, and we've only ever lived with each other. So all the like challenges of living abroad was also of living alone. And so that was some experiences that I definitely learned from, like just having to fend for yourself in a completely different sense. And that's something that I've found very hard to sort of retain, like that independency at home, both for better and worse, I guess.
Knowledge though, right?
Definitely knowledge, yeah. But also, me and Lena also talked about this, the whole thing that I feel like I'm more open and welcome to uncomfortable experiences and situations.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I feel like if I'm going through something that's difficult, scary, uncomfortable, what have you, I can faster sort of switch the mindset into, oh, but this will be a learning experience. I know that I will grow from this.
Nice.
There's something good coming out of this. Sometimes that, happens immediately. Other times that is a day or so later. It's like, okay, that wasn't a good thing that just happened, but I got through it and now we're here. So it made me, stronger. I got more experienced, or I learned something from it. And I think that's sort of stems from what I mentioned before, like having to do these things that you're very uncomfortable with doing, that you don't think about doing in your day-to-day life at home, like going to the grocery store, picking up what you want to eat, not knowing exactly where things are, like city-wise. Although Kyoto is a very easy city to sort of navigate, and much better than Tokyo. But yeah, just not knowing your areas, knowing where you are, knowing if you're gonna be understood or not, if you're trying to speak Japanese, or even just trying to speak Japanese is terrifying, right? So all of those experiences was something that you just had to do it. You learned something from it. So even though the challenging experiences here are not sort of necessary in the same sense, like for survival, it's still something that I'm open to and willing to sort of learn from. And I think that's
awesome.
That's one of the biggest changes that I've found in myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I need more like time to process and also like see how I'm different, Because so far, I think the only difference is that I've just been tired.
Yeah, well, you have been home now for what, like 2 weeks? So there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, but I'm ready to get back into things. I've been ready for the past like 4 or so days. I've just been like, I don't know, I've just been avoiding it for some reason. But I think it's time to just like push forward and really see how I am now. Yeah, maybe the fear stems from like, can I make it as good as there? Can I make here as good as there? I know I shouldn't compare it. Obviously, it's different. But in a way, I just want something, like I want to actively make my life better from what I've learned there. Yes. And I think that step is going to be hard. I think I'm going to need to change certain things that I do here. Because I noticed that I pretty much immediately fell back into, certain habits I'm comfortable with, right? I want to go out more. I don't like driving, unfortunately, but I just got to push myself. I just got to push myself to be, do it even though I don't like it, even though I'm comfortable with driving. I just don't like doing it. Yeah. It makes me tired, but it's so nice to just sit on a bus or a train and just like close your eyes and rest while you get to your destination.
Yeah, you do that. You can close your eyes anywhere and fall asleep. It's amazing, honestly.
Yeah, it's so great. But I just got to push myself, get out there and meet new people, because I know I love doing that. And I just like meet more people that play an instrument, for instance, like piano or just, people in general, to continue that experience of like, because one of the things I felt like I got to experience a lot was like whenever I met someone new, it's like I learned new things about myself as well, because it's almost like, oh, different conversations, different things, like how they interact with me. Like some people aren't that great either. So it's like, oh, how do I deal with people who aren't that great or who treat me poorly? Sometimes even in my own living space, like the share house, for instance, I encounter people who just didn't get along with me well. So in my opinion, that's always good, like experiencing new things with new people. Because if it's always the same people, always the same stuff, same conversations, same things, it just feels stagnant. And I don't want that anymore in my life now.
Yeah, same here. That's also a big change for me. I was pretty comfortable before. I'm not anymore, like being just stagnant like that. I need stuff to move forward.
Yeah. So that's the conclusion. I'm going to see, I'm going to check in with you in a month or two. Probably, I'll check in with you probably in a month or something. Like, I think that's when things will get moving.
Clearer.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on and talking with me about all this stuff. Japan was honestly one of the best experiences in my life. And
yeah. No, thank you. I mean, I love talking, and I love talking about this too. Like, I agree. Japan was amazing, truly.
I'm super glad that you're a part of it. Like, you being a really good planner helped so much in different occasions, and just all the interactions we had, and all the places we visited. And it was great, honestly.
Yeah, thank you for always keeping me level-headed. I felt like you were one of the few people who could sort of pull me down to a good level and not just get carried away in any sense of the word.
Of course. Okay. So, any last words?
That sounded very serious.
No.
No. Any last words? I guess like TLDR, if you're on the fence about going to Japan for an extended period of time, just do it.
Yeah, for real.
Just make it happen. I waited 10 years, but it was so worth it. And I went at the right moment. Planets aligned, and I'm so extremely, grateful for being able to have that experience. So, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Great piece of advice. I advise the same thing. You can even just do exactly what we did. Arc Academy, Kyoto, like an amazing place.
Yeah.
I'll probably make detailed stuff about it, like a video or something. But thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.